My dad disappeared after my mom got pregnant with my uncle's baby. No one told me why. Now my uncle is dying. And they want my dad back, but I finally know the truth. I haven't spoken to my mother in 2 years. Not because of some big blowout. We just drifted. I moved 3 states away for work, she stopped calling, I stopped pretending to care. Clean break. So when her name lit up my phone at 11 p.m. on a Tuesday, I knew something was wrong. He's dying. No hello. No small talk. Straight to it. I sat up in bed. Who? Karen. Stage 4 pancreatic cancer. They're saying weeks, maybe a month if we're lucky. Her voice cracked, but it felt rehearsed. Like she'd practiced this conversation. We need to find your father. I laughed. Couldn't help it. You're joking. I'm serious. Karen needs him. The medical bills are, it's complicated, but we need Darian. Do you have any idea where he is? Darian Voss. My father. The man I hadn't seen since I was 9 years old. I remember that morning clearly. I came downstairs for breakfast, and his chair was empty. Not pushed in like he'd already left for work, just empty. Like he'd never sat there at all. Where's Dad? I asked. My mother didn't look up from her coffee. He's gone. Gone where? Just gone. That was it. No explanation. No phone call. No forwarding address. For weeks, I kept asking. She'd go stone-faced every time, like I'd said something offensive just by mentioning his name. Eventually, I stopped asking. My grandparents filled in the blanks. Your father couldn't handle the pressure. He walked away from his responsibilities. From you. And then Uncle Karen showed up. He moved into our house within 3 months. Took over the guest room, then the garage, then the whole damn place. Helped with bills. Drove me to school. Showed up to parent-teacher conferences. Everyone said he was a saint for stepping in. I believed them. I don't know where he is, I told my mother. Haven't heard from him in 18 years. But you could find him, couldn't you? You're good at this kind of thing. Research. Data. You do it for your job. I'm a geotechnical engineer. I assess soil stability for construction projects. Not exactly private investigator work, but sure, I know how to dig through records. Why now? I asked. Karen's been in your life for almost 2 decades. Why does he suddenly need the man who abandoned us? It's complicated. Then uncomplicated. Long pause. I could hear her breathing, sharp and uneven. There are financial issues. Medical bills. The business is struggling. The house, she stopped herself. We just need him. Please. This is about family. Family. The word tasted wrong coming from her. I thought about my father. The ghost I'd spent my whole childhood resenting. The coward who couldn't handle pressure. The man who chose nothing over me. But something in my mother's voice didn't sit right. She wasn't grieving. She wasn't even sad. She was panicking. I'll see what I can find, I said. Thank you. I'll send you everything I have, old addresses, social security number, anything that might. I'll do it myself. Don't send me anything. But if we work together, I said, I'll handle it. I hung up before she could argue. I sat there in the dark, phone still in my hand, trying to make sense of it. Uncle Karen, dying. My mother, desperate. My father, the missing piece they suddenly needed after 18 years of calling him worthless. Something wasn't adding up. If my father was such a failure, such a coward, why would they need him now? What could he possibly offer that Uncle Karen, the successful businessman, the family hero, couldn't handle himself? I opened my laptop. Started with the basics. Public records. Name searches. Property databases. And that's when I noticed it. My mother's voice on the phone. The way she said medical bills and the business and the house. Not Karen's medical bills. Not Karen's business. Not Karen's house. Like they belonged to someone else. I spent the next 3 days buried in public records. Turns out, finding someone who doesn't want to be found isn't that hard when they're not actually hiding. Darian Voss never vanished. He relocated. Legally. Quietly. First hit came from a property tax database in Virginia. D. Harrison Voss. Different middle name, same birth date. Purchased a condo in 2009, 3 years after he disappeared. Not a cash purchase either. Mortgage. Credit check. Employment verification. You don't get approved for a mortgage if you're some broken down deadbeat who can't handle pressure. I kept digging. LinkedIn pulled up a profile. Private equity analyst at a mid-sized investment firm. 22 years in financial services. Graduate degree in economics. The profile picture showed a man in his 50s. Lean, graying at the temples, wearing a suit that probably cost more than my monthly rent. He looked composed. Successful. Nothing like the failure my family described. I switched gears. Searched Uncle Karan's business records. Karan owned Voss Industrial Supply, a distribution company for construction materials. On paper, it looked legitimate. Steady revenue for years, multiple commercial properties, warehouse leases across 2 states. But when I pulled the actual property deeds, things got weird. The business wasn't titled under Karan's name. It was held in a trust. Voss Family Revocable Trust, established 2006. The year my father disappeared. I pulled the trust documents. 73 pages of legal language that made my head spin, but I forced myself through it. Karan was listed as trustee. He managed the assets, made business decisions, controlled day-to-day operations. But he wasn't the beneficiary. That section was redacted in the public filings, marked conditional assignment pending resolution of terms outlined in Section 12, subsection 4. I couldn't access Section 12 without a court order. But I didn't need to. Because buried in the property records was something else. Bank transfers. Large ones. April 2006, Darian Voss transfers $340,000 to Karan Voss. Memo, initial business capital investment. May 2006, Darian Voss transfers $180,000 to Karan Voss. Memo, operational funding and equipment acquisition. June 2006, Darian Voss transfers property deed, warehouse, 12,000 square feet, to Voss Family Trust. My father didn't abandon us broke. He left after handing Uncle Karan almost $500,000 and a warehouse. None of this made sense. Then I remembered something. My sister. Iris. She's 15 now. I barely know her. She was born after Dad left, and by the time I was old enough to be a real sibling, I was already out of the house. I did the math. Iris was born March 2007. Which meant my mother got pregnant. June 2006. The same month my father transferred that warehouse. The same month he disappeared. I sat back from my laptop, heart pounding. My father knew. He knew my mother was pregnant when he left. Had to. You don't just wake up one day and walk away. You don't liquidate assets and transfer property titles overnight. This was planned. But why hand over everything to Karan? Why set him up with a business, with money, unless it wasn't a gift? I pulled up the trust documents again. Read through Section 3, which outlined terms of conditional transfer and reversion clauses in event of breach. Legal speak. But the gist was clear. The assets weren't Karan's. They were on loan. Managed by him, but controlled by someone else. And if certain conditions were triggered, everything reverted back to the original grantor. My father. I opened a new search tab. Found my father's current address in 15 minutes. Bought a plane ticket for the next morning. Didn't tell my mother. Didn't tell anyone. The condo complex was nicer than I expected. Quiet neighborhood, tree-lined streets, the kind of place where people jog with expensive dogs. I stood outside Unit 4B for a full minute before knocking. The door opened. My father looked exactly like his LinkedIn photo. Older, obviously. But his eyes were the same. Sharp. Focused. He looked at me for 3 seconds without saying anything. Then he stepped aside. "Took you long enough," he said. "I've been waiting." I stepped inside. The place was clean. Minimalist. A few framed photos on the wall, people I didn't recognize. A bookshelf filled with finance texts and what looked like philosophy books. Everything in its place. Not the home of a man who fell apart. "Coffee?" he asked. "Sure." He moved to the kitchen without another word. I stood in the living room, hands in my pockets, trying to figure out what the hell to say to someone I hadn't seen in 18 years. He came back with 2 mugs. Sat down across from me. Waited. "You said you were waiting," I started. "Waiting for what?" "For you to figure it out." "Figure out what?" "That I didn't leave because I was weak." He took a sip of coffee. "I left because I refused to be humiliated." I set my mug down. "Mom cheated on you." "With my brother." "Yes." He said it so calmly. Like he was discussing stock portfolios. "And you just walked away?" "No." He leaned back. I executed a plan. There's a difference. I felt my jaw tighten. You left me. I left a situation I couldn't fix. You were 9. Old enough to remember me, not old enough to understand why I had to go. If I'd stayed, you would have watched me get destroyed. Watched your mother and Karen parade their affair in front of me while your grandparents insisted I be the bigger man. He met my eyes. I chose dignity over martyrdom. They told me you abandoned us. I know what they told you. I also knew that one day, you'd be smart enough to see through it. My hands were shaking. I gripped the mug tighter. Mom got pregnant. With Iris. June 2006. Yes. You knew before you left. I suspected. Confirmed it 3 weeks before I relocated. He paused. Your grandparents sat me down. Told me to forgive her. Keep the family intact. That Karen made a mistake, but he was family, and family forgives. What did you say? I said I'd think about it. He smiled, but there was no warmth in it. Then I spent the next month liquidating assets, setting up legal structures, and planning my exit. I stared at him. The business. Voss Industrial Supply. Mine. Technically. Karen's been running it for 18 years. Karen's been managing it. There's a difference. I set up a revocable trust with very specific terms. He gets to play businessman as long as certain conditions are met. What conditions? That he never asks me for help. Financial, legal, medical, doesn't matter. The second he needs me, everything reverts. The business, the properties, the accounts. All of it comes back to me. I felt the air leave my lungs. You set a trap. I set consequences. Karen wanted my wife, my home, my life. Fine. He could have it. But he had to survive it on his own. He took another sip of coffee. Turns out, he's not very good at that. The business is failing. Has been for 3 years. He overextended. Made bad contracts. Ignored warning signs. Now he's $500,000 in debt with medical bills piling up and a foreclosure notice on the house. The house you gave him. The house I put in the trust. Same rules apply. I rubbed my face. This was insane. And Mom knows this? She knows enough. She knows I'm the only one who can save them. That's why she called you. Why didn't you contact me before now? I wanted to. When you turned 18, I almost did. He set his mug down. But I needed you to find me on your own. To choose me knowing the truth, not because I manipulated you into it. You think this isn't manipulation? This is information. What you do with it is your choice. I stood up, paced to the window. Outside, someone was walking a golden retriever. Normal life. Normal problems. Iris, I said. Is she Karen's biological daughter? Yes. I had DNA tested years ago through legal channels. Does she know? No. And she shouldn't. She's innocent in this. I turned back to him. What do you want from me? He stood, walked to a desk in the corner, and pulled out a folder. Slid it across the coffee table toward me. Karen's medical bills are currently $340,000 and climbing. His business has 30 days before bankruptcy proceedings begin. The house has a foreclosure auction scheduled for next month. He looked at me. I'm the only person who can stop any of it. I stared at the folder. What do you want me to do? He asked. I didn't answer him right away. Instead, I opened the folder. Medical bills. Business statements. Property liens. Everything was worse than he'd described. You're asking me to choose, I said. No. I'm asking you to see who they really are before you make that choice. He sat back down. They're going to use every weapon they have. Guilt. Shame. Your sister. They'll rewrite history right in front of you and swear it's the truth. And if I go back there? Then you'll know exactly who you're dealing with. I closed the folder. You want me to be your spy? I want you to be informed. There's a difference. I flew back the next morning. My mother called 4 times during the flight. I didn't answer. Let her panic. When I finally called her back from the airport, she was frantic. Where have you been? I've been trying to reach you for 2 days. I've been working. Did you find Dad's information? No. That's why I need you too. I'm flying in tonight. I'll help you look. Silence. Then, you're coming home? For a few days. We'll figure this out. She exhaled like I'd just saved her life. Thank you. God, thank you. The house looked smaller than I remembered. Same neighborhood. Same cracked driveway. But everything felt compressed, like I'd outgrown it without realizing. My mother opened the door before I could knock. She looked older. Thinner. Her hair was graying at the roots. "You're here," she said, pulling me into a hug I didn't return. Inside, my grandparents were sitting in the living room. Grandma looked up, smiled that same tight smile she always had. "There you are." We were starting to worry. Grandpa just nodded. Didn't say anything. "Where's Karan?" I asked. "Upstairs. Resting. The treatments are hard on him." My mother wrung her hands. "Do you want to see him?" "Later. I want to talk to you first." We sat. My mother poured tea nobody wanted. "Have you had any luck finding Darian?" Grandma asked. I shook my head. "Not yet. I've been searching public records, but everything's old. He might have changed his name." "He would," Grandpa muttered. "Always was good at running." I bit my tongue. "We just need to know he'll help," my mother said. "Once you find him, I'll talk to him. Explain the situation." "What situation, exactly?" She blinked. "The medical bills. The business. Karan built that company from nothing, and now, from nothing?" I interrupted. "He didn't get startup capital?" "Well, yes, but, from who?" She hesitated. "Your father helped at the beginning. But Karan made it what it is." "Did he?" Grandma leaned forward. "What's with the tone?" "Just trying to understand. How much did Dad contribute?" "That's not relevant," my mother snapped. "What's relevant is that Karan needs help now, and your father owes him." "Owes him what?" "Support. Decency. Family loyalty." I almost laughed. "Family loyalty. That's rich. What's that supposed to mean?" I pulled out my phone. Hit record in my pocket. Nothing. Just curious how this all works. I went upstairs to see Karan. He was in the master bedroom. My parents' old room. He looked bad. Skin yellowed, eyes sunken. But when he saw me, he sat up straighter. Like he needed to perform strength. "There you are," he said. "Your mother said you were helping find Darian." "Working on it." "Good. Tell him I need to talk to him. Man to man." I crossed my arms. "About what?" "About responsibility." He walked away from his obligations. Left me to pick up the pieces. Now it's time for him to step up. Obligations to who? To this family. I stared at him. Even dying, he was arrogant. "You raised me," I said slowly. "After he left." "Someone had to." "Why you?" He frowned. "What kind of question is that?" "A simple one. Why were you the one who stepped in?" "Because I'm family. Because I cared." "And Dad didn't?" "Your father couldn't handle the pressure of real life. I could. That's the difference between us." I nodded slowly. Kept my face neutral. "I'll keep looking for him." "You do that. And when you find him, you tell him this family needs him. Whether he likes it or not." I spent the next 2 days pretending to search while actually digging through their paperwork. Found insurance policies. Life insurance on Karan, listing my mother as beneficiary. Health insurance tied to the business, which was about to collapse. Found mortgage documents. The house was in Karan's name, but the down payment transfer was flagged with the same trust language I'd seen before. Everything came back to my father. On the third night, my mother cornered me in the kitchen. "Did you find him?" she asked. "I know you did. You're too good at this to come up empty." I kept my face blank. Still looking. She grabbed my arm. Hard. "Don't lie to me. I can see it in your face. You found him." I pulled my arm free. "Let go. Tell me where he is, or I swear to God, you'll what?" She stepped closer. Her voice dropped to something cold. "Calculating. I'll make sure you lose your sister forever." I looked at my mother for a long moment. Then I smiled. "You don't have that power," I said quietly. "You never did." Her face went white. "What?" "Iris is 15. In 3 years, she'll be an adult who can decide for herself who she wants in her life. You can't control that." I stepped back. "But go ahead. Threaten me. See how that works out." I walked past her and went upstairs to pack. She didn't follow. I called my father from the car. "They're desperate," I said. "Mom just threatened to cut me off from Iris if I don't give her your location." Predictable. He didn't sound surprised. "What do you want to do?" "I want them to see exactly who they're dealing with." Pause. "Then, you're ready?" "Yes." "Then tell your mother I'll meet with the family. 3 days from now. My terms, my location." Where? The house. I want to see what Karan did with my money. My mother almost cried when I told her. He agreed? He's really coming? He'll be there Saturday. 2 p.m. Thank God. Thank God. She grabbed my hands. You did the right thing. This family, we can fix this. I said nothing. Saturday came. My grandparents arrived early. Karan was downstairs, propped up on the couch with pillows. He looked worse than before, but he was dressed. Ready to perform. Iris sat in the corner, confused. Nobody had explained why I was suddenly back or why we were having this meeting. Who's coming? She asked me. Someone you've never met, I said. My mother paced by the window. What if he doesn't show? What if he changed his mind? He'll show. At exactly 2 p.m., a black sedan pulled into the driveway. My father stepped out. And he wasn't alone. 2 people followed him. A man and a woman, both in business attire, both carrying briefcases. My mother's face fell. What is this? Insurance, I said. The door opened. My father walked in first. The room went silent. He looked around slowly, taking it all in. The worn furniture. The outdated fixtures. The framed photos on the wall, none of them including him. Darian, my grandmother said, standing. It's been 18 years, he finished. Yes. Karan tried to sit up straighter. Failed. You came. I was invited. My father gestured to his companions. This is Patricia Hollis, my attorney. And Dennis Kwan, my financial advisor. They're here to discuss the terms. Terms? My mother stepped forward. We just need to talk. Family to family. We're not family anymore. You made that clear. He turned to Karan. You wanted to talk man to man. Let's talk. Karan's jaw tightened. I need help with the medical bills. The business is failing. I know. I've been tracking its decline for 3 years. You've been, Karan stopped. You knew? I know everything. I've always known everything. My father sat down, crossing his legs. Completely at ease. Voss Industrial Supply is currently $540,000 in debt. You have 18 pending lawsuits from contractors. Your credit is destroyed. And the warehouse, the one I transferred to you in 2006, has a foreclosure auction in 3 weeks. Patricia pulled documents from her briefcase. Slid them across the coffee table. These are the asset structures, she said. The business, the properties, the accounts, all held in revocable trust with Mr. Voss as the original grantor. My grandfather leaned forward, reading. His face went gray. This can't be right, he said. It's very right, my father replied. Karan has been managing my assets for 18 years. Living in my house. Running my business. On borrowed time. You gave them to me, Karan said. You transferred everything. Conditionally. Read section 12. Dennis opened another folder. Section 12, subsection 4, in the event that the trustee requires financial, legal, or medical assistance from the grantor, all assets immediately revert to grantor control. The room went dead silent. My mother looked like she'd been slapped. You set us up. I set terms. You agreed to them. You just never thought you'd need me. You son of a. Careful, my father said softly. My lawyers are recording this conversation. Grandma sank back into her chair. Why? Why would you do this? Because you told me to keep the family intact. So I did. I kept my integrity intact. My dignity. My control. He looked at Karan. You wanted everything I had. Fine. But you had to earn it. And you failed. Karan's hands were shaking. Rage or fear, I couldn't tell. You can't just take it back. I can. I will. Unless what? My father leaned forward. Unless you confess. Publicly. In front of everyone here. He gestured around the room. You admit the affair. You admit paternity of Iris. And you apologize to my child. He pointed at me for destroying their childhood with your lies. The silence was suffocating. Karan stared at him. Then at my mother. Then at me. You want me to humiliate myself. I want you to tell the truth. There's a difference. And if I do? You'll pay the bills? Save the business? Every penny. The business stays open. The house is yours. Iris's college is paid for. You get to die comfortable. My mother looked at Karan. Do it. Just do it. But Karan's face had gone hard. Even pale and dying, his pride wouldn't break. He looked my father dead in the eye. I'll die before I give you that satisfaction. My father stood up. Then die, he said. No emotion. No hesitation. Just finality. He turned toward the door. Patricia and Dennis closed their briefcases, following his lead. Wait, my mother lunged forward. Wait, please, we can? You can what? My father stopped but didn't turn around. Beg? Threaten? Rewrite history again? He looked back over his shoulder. You had one chance. He chose pride over survival. That's his decision. Darian, please, my grandmother stood, hands clasped. This is your family. You can't just walk away from. I didn't walk away. I left strategically. You told me to keep the family intact. He turned fully now, meeting her eyes. I did. I kept my family intact. My dignity. My child. My future. Just not yours. Your child is right here. My mother pointed at me. You abandoned. I gave them a choice. They made it. My father looked at me. Coming? The room held its breath. Every eye on me. My mother. My grandparents. Karin, pale and furious on the couch. Iris, watching everything fall apart without understanding why. I stood up. Walked to my father's side. My mother made a sound like I'd stabbed her. No. No, you can't. Watch me. After everything we did for you, you lied to me for 18 years. You used me. You tried to manipulate me into betraying the only person in this room who actually respected me enough to let me choose. I looked at Karin. You wanted to play house with my mother? You got it. Now deal with the consequences. You ungrateful. Careful, my father said quietly. My lawyers are still recording. We walked out together. Behind us, my mother's sobs turned to screaming. My grandfather shouting. Chaos. We didn't look back. Karin died 21 days later. Never confessed. Never apologized. Died with his pride intact and his debts unpaid. The business collapsed within a week of his death. Bankruptcy proceedings started immediately. The warehouse sold at auction. Everything liquidated. My mother lost the house 2 months after that. Moved into a rental with Iris. No financial support. No safety net. My grandparents tried calling me. Sent letters. Begged me to reconsider. I blocked them. I learned things about my father I never knew. He'd been married for 12 years. To a woman named Helen, a contracts attorney he met 5 years after he left. They had 2 kids, 10 and 8. Half siblings I'd never met. Why didn't you tell me? I asked him over dinner at his house. Because I needed you to choose me for the right reasons. Not because I had a ready-made family waiting. He poured wine. If you'd come here and seen Helen and the kids first, you might have felt obligated. Guilty. I wanted you to see me as I am. Not as a replacement for what you lost. I didn't lose anything, I said. They threw it away. Helen smiled from across the table. She was kind. Sharp. Everything my mother wasn't. The kids, Jonah and Petra, were good. Curious. Normal. I fit better here in 3 months than I ever had in 18 years back there. My father kept one promise. Iris's college fund. He set it up anonymously, sent the paperwork through his attorney. She's innocent, he said when I asked why. She didn't choose her father. She doesn't deserve to pay for his mistakes. I asked if he'd ever meet her. Maybe. When she's older. If she wants to. He looked at me. I wanted to contact you when you turned 18. Almost did. But I needed you to find me yourself. To choose me knowing the full truth. Why? Because being chosen means something when the person choosing knows exactly who you are. We were having coffee one Sunday when he asked, any regrets? I thought about it. Really thought. No. Not even about your mother? About Iris? Mom made her choices. Iris will make hers when she's ready. I took a sip. I spent 18 years believing you were the coward. Turns out, you were the only one brave enough to leave. Leaving wasn't brave. It was necessary. Same thing sometimes. He smiled. Actually smiled. You turned out better than I expected. Low bar. Fair point. We sat in comfortable silence. Outside, Jonah and Petra were playing in the yard. Helen was reading on the porch. Normal family things. I'd spent my whole life chasing a ghost. Turned out, the ghost was the only one who'd been real all along. I didn't lose my father at 9, I said finally. He looked at me. I just found him at 27. I met his eyes. And this time, I'm not letting go. He reached across the table. Squeezed my shoulder once. Good, he said. Because I'm not going anywhere. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If you really like our videos, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Have a great day.